The Crooked Epic. 1. Inn. 1. The Inn of Maniacal Madness. 4. Ted. The Cave. 4C. 2. The agents had hidden near the lake in Hobb to look for the brothers. Ahmed had retreated initially, and the FBI had taken Alex. But a small militia of men with weapons ambushed the agents right near the 2 guardhouses at the brick road which had led down the hill from the forest. Fortunately, Alex had been able to make his escape. He ran down to the stables, where he quickly untied several horses and let them all out while the militiamen were busy wrestling with the 2 agents. During the melee, Alex ran back around the jailhouse near the lake and took the cover of darkness against the water pumps at the utility station. An hour later, the militia disbanded from the area and Alex was able to move further down the lake. Seeing the big hotel in the distance, he got back to the street where he had last seen Ted and started walking by the bridge and gazebo. This is where he found part of the magic amulet on the ground, where he had seen Ted fall and disappear. Picking it up, he wandered further toward the hotel, which eventually he was able to see was a fortress of sorts. Although it bore the name Inn on its marquee, it was unlike any hotel he had ever heard of. It looked more like a military compound. After he assessed the quality of hospitality, it occurred to him that there was not any good reason to go to the hotel. So he staked out a position next to a nearby house and watched for anyone to go up to the monolithic building. After a long time, a convoy of trucks began to line up against the front gate of the hotel, a line which was so extensive it ended with 4 wagons on the outside premises, creating an extra barricade around the walls of the building. Soldiers piled out and began forming ranks to enter the inner area leading into the lobby. The line slowly filed in as Alex lay utterly still, quiet under the cover of night and shadows of the wall, motionless even though his belly was upset from hunger and his head was aching from exhaustion. Finally, the procession emptied the street in front of Alex and he got up and left his hiding place. He gathered enough courage to check the house's windows which he was next to and found the building was empty. Indoors were deserted, so he went inside to forage around for food, water, or anything which could aid him through the rest of the night. It was devoid of any provisions, without running water, nor any real furniture aside from built-in cupboards and shelves. Luckily, however, all his scrounging in every cabinet and drawer within the place eventually provided one silver dagger, auspiciously located right near the back door in the kitchenette. He paused and looked outside through a window pointing toward the back lot between the house and the barrier wall. Holding the amulet and dagger, he saw an unattended horse walking around, clomping its hooves in the grass. Ameliorated with hope from despair that he had felt overcome with, Alex ran over and commandeered the steed, as he had learned to do during summer camp the previous year, riding it swiftly back into the forest by the river and cutting through to the tall fields across from the cemetery and church. The cave was barely big enough to fit the stolen animal, so he stopped outside of the church on the road near the tall grass and tried to decide whether to leave it behind. In the open epinos of the church, he saw dark cloaks hanging around a wardrobe door. Having been cold, hungry, and tired, he prepared to return off the disastrous day. He tethered the bridle on the horse onto a branch of a hedge closer to the cave entrance. He began to stake out the entry to the cave in a crawl space underneath the church, with a cloak wrapped around for warmth, and accidentally fell asleep. When daylight returned in Hobb, he forced open his sleepy eyes and peeked out through the misty gravestones for his horse. There was no sound and no human was visible, so he came out from under the abandoned church and walked the horse into the cave. He walked it through the tunnels, but when he saw Ted being held by the estranged escapee, he grabbed the amulet, jumped up, and kicked his heels on the horse's sides. He was shocked and exhausted, yet determined to free his brother. The horse charged toward the kidnapper and Ted. Alex pulled out the amulet without thinking while riding, and initiated the teleportation effect, which now incorporated both Ted and Barry, the criminal.